Geometrics has now measured equipment usage with sensors for over 6.5 million hours and conducted more than 40,000 face-to-face surveys. This data has been analysed with the most advanced software, and we are sharing this information with you. Hello, I'm Rory from Geometrics, and this week I'm going to be talking about why each gym has a unique equipment requirement based upon a unique demand pattern. This is one of the early interesting discoveries that we made. As we measured more and more gyms, we began to see that even gyms that were geographically very close to each other, set up almost identically with very similar demographics, had totally different demand patterns by their customers, and therefore totally different equipment requirements. This dispelled two commonly held myths in the industry. One, that demographics determine what the equipment requirement should be, and two, that there's an ideal equipment ratio, a golden one-size-fits-all ratio for all gyms. It does not exist. So, what we started to do was view gyms as ecosystems. And in the ecosystem, you have four main elements that interact with each other. First of all, we have the gym's customers. We also have the gym's instructors and personal trainers. These two groups of people are interacting with each other, but also with the gym's equipment. So the quantities, the types, and the locations. And all of this fits in to the overall building, the size and the shape of the gym floor. So then we start to look at what influences each of these elements. So we'll start with what's influencing customers' choices in equipment. We can start with induction programs, past and present gym instructors, personal trainers. This can have a huge influence on the choices that customers are making and what equipment they're going to be using. We then go around watching other in-shape members on a gym floor. People copy people if they look good. Friends. I've learned everything I know on a gym floor from friends of mine. But then the age, the gender, what the media is saying. You know, is Kim Kardashian tweeting a picture of her doing squats? This will have an influence in the choices girls are making and how they want to train. You also have the equipment locations. We find things like power plates. The more discrete their location, the higher the usage. The more prominent their location, the lower the usage. And also equipment availability. Is there a shortage of certain types of equipment? Do customers have to wait? This will stop them using that equipment, and they'll switch to second and third choices in terms of the equipment they're going to use. So then we look at the next element, the instructors, and what influence they're having and what factors feed into this. So first of all, how many instructors are there? What's the instructor to customer ratio? How proactive are the instructors? Are they sitting behind a desk all day, or are they out on the gym floor? What were the instructors themselves taught? What do they believe? Are they keeping up with the latest trends? Are they teaching customers these things? Are they persuasive? Finally, we have what we call demand-side management, where we're actually taking control of measuring the equipment and seeing, are the instructors teaching people about new equipment. Functional training is a classic example of this, where the usage is very low, but we don't advise operators to bring down the level of equipment to match the low demand. Our advice is get the instructors to teach people more about this and change the customer's demand pattern so that they understand why they should be valuing it and why they should be using it. Then we have the next element. What's influenced the types and quantities of equipment on the gym floor? Until Geometrics came along, what customer demand actually was for the equipment didn't factor into this. This is more what the suppliers have advised operators to buy. What ratios are operators following to determine this? What is their gut feel telling them? What do they think the latest trends are going to be? What are their instructors telling them customers want or should want? These are all factors that have fed into what the choices have been for the quantities and types of equipment on the gym floor. So when we start to look at all of the different elements will be interacting with each other, and then we start to look at all of the factors that are feeding into each of these elements, we begin to understand how improbable it is that two gyms are going to have exactly the same demand pattern and therefore equipment requirement. So our advice to operators is if you're doing a refurb, measure that particular gym. It will be unique and its equipment requirement will be unique. But then there's the challenge of new builds. If you're doing a new build, you can only go with the best guess. With many of the big operators that we're working with, we're measuring the average and putting the average amount of equipment in, but only putting 80% of the equipment in a phase 1 build. When the gym fills up and we can measure the demand pattern, we then come in and use the final 20% of kit to finish off that gym, so that gym is tailored to its unique customer demand pattern. I hope you have found this interesting and informative. Thank you.